We're here in Lahaina Town on the island of Maui. Today we're going to cover a ukulele basics class, and we're going to start with showing you some different types of ukulele that we have. So we're going to start with the baritone ukulele. This is the largest ukulele size that we have. Sounds a little different from all the rest. It's a little lower in size and tuned almost like a guitar. Then we have a tenor ukulele. The tenor is your next smallest size. This is a Kamaka tenor ukulele. It's priced at over $1,000. So it sounds like this. And as compared to the baritone, you can see that it's a little smaller. I like the tenor size the best for its quality of sound and its playability, especially for adults. The next size ukulele we have is the concert, and of course the sounds are a little different. Oh, and this one is not in tune, so we're not going to spend the time to tune it. And then we have the smallest size. It's a soprano, so if you're buying a ukulele for a child, I would start with a soprano sized ukulele or a concert size. And for your first purchase, if you don't have an ukulele at this time, I would recommend buying a really reasonably priced ukulele that's priced under $100. And here's one right here. The name brand is Makala, M-A-K-A-L-A. And for a ukulele that's priced under $100, it sounds pretty good. As compared to a Kamaka ukulele that costs over $1,000. We're going to be talking a little bit about the strings that go on the ukulele right now. As you could see from what I showed you so far, each of those ukuleles take 4 strings. They make ukuleles that have 6 strings and 5 strings and 8 strings, but of course when you start playing ukulele, I would get a ukulele that just has 4 strings. There are many different varieties of strings, and I have a few here that I can highly recommend that you can get. First is the Aquila strings. Hilo, of course they don't make Hilo anymore, but Hilo went out of business I think recently, but if you can get sets of Hilo strings, I would get those. And of course Kamaka. Kamaka started their company in 1914 and they're still in business today. So these are sets of Kamaka strings, and why I put this is guitar strings, classical guitar strings. Why I put this set here is normally for my baritone ukuleles, I buy a classical set that has black strings, and then I will put the 4 middle strings in it. I'll discard the largest and the smallest of the strings, and I'll string them with the middle 4 strings. Some other things that you would want to get along with your ukulele is possibly a capo. I'm not going to go into what a capo does right now, but this is another thing that you can get. And of course tuners. The tuner I like best is this one right here, a Snort super tight chromatic tuner. Okay. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the tuning of a ukulele on tenor, concert, and a soprano. They're tuned G, C, E, A. So if you're using a tuner, you press the string, and if it's right on, it'll show on this particular tuner. It'll show a green. So G, C, E. Okay, so the E is a little flat because it's showing a little red. So I'm going to tighten the string a little till it goes right on to the E, just a green without any other colors. And the A is sharp as it's showing a yellow color. So I'm going to loosen the string a little to get down to the A. And that's it right there. G, C, E, E, and a A, which is the tunings for the tenor, the concert, and the soprano ukulele. Okay, we're going to talk about the tuning of the baritone ukulele now. So a baritone tone is tuned a little different than the concert and the tenor and the soprano ukuleles. The baritone is tuned D, G, B, and E. So it's tuned like the bottom four strings of a guitar. The D, the G, the B, and the E. We're going to talk a little bit about protection for your valuable instrument now. If you're just starting out with a reasonably priced ukulele, then I would get one of these 3 middle type cases. This one is a soft case. It came with the ukulele that I purchased. This one is a semi-hard case. It gives really good protection for a reasonable price. And this is probably one of the cheaper hard cases you can get. When I first purchased my Kamaka ukuleles, this is what they came in. A case like this. So all these 3 cases would cost you under $50, or should cost you under $50. Now if you buy a more valuable instrument, an instrument that costs $1,000 or more, then I would purchase a case that gives you more adequate protection. This case right here is a Reunion Blues case. It costs almost $200. And another really good quality case is this one right here, a Meritage. And of course you can see just by looking at it that it's really durable. And if you're traveling with your ukulele, especially if your ukulele is valuable, then I would get something like this Meritage or this Reunion Blues case. And of course there are many more cases out there. A lot of companies make cases, and normally when you buy your first ukulele, it may come with a soft case automatically. So the last thing we're going to talk about today, right now, is a strap. Some people ask about straps for their ukuleles. Here's a typical strap. Now this is a bass ukulele, and that's why I use a strap. But on all my other ukuleles, I don't use a strap. I just hold it under my arm. But if you need a strap, one thing you have to think about is that it probably doesn't come with this that holds the strap onto your ukulele. So you're going to have to purchase something like this and screw it into your ukulele. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend you do it yourself. I would recommend getting someone that knows what they're doing to put it in for you. And with that, we're going to go on to our ukulele lesson. So see you soon. Aloha and welcome back to our beginning ukulele lesson. We're here at the Kaunua Senior Center on Lahaina Luna Road in the town of Lahaina on the island of Maui. So before we start the next section of the lesson, I hope you've already downloaded these printouts. There are 4 of them. The ukulele basics, which we already covered. There's a key of G, Hawaiian style. There's 2 new mele. Lahaina Luna, written by a famous Hawaiian composer, Kui Lee, right here in Lahaina town. And My Little Grass Shack in Kealakekua, Hawaii. The first part of our lesson, we're going to focus on Hawaiian vamps. So these are two ways of playing our Hawaiian vamp in the key of G. A7, D7, and G major. Or you could play it like this, just a little variation of A7, D7, and a G6. So in either case, if you're playing with a group, they can't tell that you're not playing a traditional D7 or G major. Alright, so strumming technique. Normally, I notice that when I teach my beginning ukulele classes, there are some students that strum with their thumb or they strum with their whole hand. I would recommend when you're beginning to just strum with your pointer finger on your whatever your strumming hand is. So it'll be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you're playing the A7 and a D7 in a traditional Hawaiian vamp, it'll be 2 beats on the A7, 2 beats on the D7, and 4 beats on the G. So you should be playing it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so the vamps that we just played was a 2-5-1 vamp. Now what does that mean? Well, if you take the key of G and you go G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then back to G, and then give them a number. So G would be 1, A would be 2, B7, or B would be 3, and so forth down the scale. In the key of G in Hawaiian music, normally the G is a major, the 2 is a 7th note, so A7, the 3 is a 7th note, C is a major, D is a 7, E is a 7, and F is a major. So if you kind of look at this chart here, and you look at this vamp, 2, 5, and 1, be an A7, the 5 is a D7, and the 1 is a G. So in the way that I teach normally is I use these numbering systems. Because if you go to another key like the key of C or the key of F, it's the same. Okay, we're going to cover a little bit about how I wrote this chart out. So the first line is Hawaiian vamps. The second line, the E7, A7, D7, G, G7, C, and C minor, is a typical Hawaiian progression in a lot of different Hawaiian songs. Then, the very last line is another progression starting with the B7 and going to the E7, A, D7, and then the G. So, if you look right above here, this is a typical total Hawaiian progression from the 3 to the 6 to the 2 to the 5 to the 1. So most Hawaiian songs are made up of this whole progression here or parts of it. So right now we're going to go through this key of G Hawaiian style, and we're going to play through this chart. So what you should be doing after we're done here is practice this chart over and over and try to do it and try to memorize it so you can play this chart in the key of G without looking at the chords. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start with the first line. And we're going to go slow. So after we finish this first line, all the 2s and the 5s, or the A7s and the D7s, will be 2 beats. Everything else for now will be 4 beats. Okay? So here we go, starting with the first line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 D, 7 G, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. First line again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, C minor, 2, 3, 4, third line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, second line, E7, 3, 4, 2 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G7, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, C minor, third line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, if you can practice through what I just did over and over again till you get comfortable with these progressions and you're able to change between chords easily, then we can move on to the songs. So we're going to cover a new mele right now, and this song is called Lahaina Luna, and it was written by a famous Hawaiian composer, Ukulele, who wrote this song right here in Lahaina. I have a couple stories about that this tune. One is one of my good friends, Opelo Keahi, told me that Ukulele wrote this song right in his bar, right on Front Street. And his daughters, one of his daughters, confirmed that after he wrote this tune, he would sing this to them down at Lahaina Harbor while they were swimming in the water when it was a lot cleaner in the harbor. And as he sang the chorus, they would repeat the words. So let's cover the song now. And if you look at the song, you'll notice that it has a 2-5-1 vamps, and a lot of the progressions follow this. You know, follow this the progressions that I've talked about in the song, in the chord charts that I gave you. So I'm assuming that you're looking at your Lahaina Luna chord chart. So let's go. Here we go. Starting with 2 vamps. 2, 3, 4. One more vamp. I am going to the island of the valley, to Lahaina. It's the best, and I agree. Cause Maui no Kauai is the only place for me. That's where you'll find me, down by the seaside, watching the moonlight, starlight, the morning sunrise, the golden sunset in Lahaina. next part of the lesson, before we move on, I'd like you to actually put numbers above next to these chords here. So for example, the A7 is a 2, the number 2. So next to the A7, I would like you to put a 2. Next to the D7 is a 5. I'd like you to put a 5 next to it. And the G, of course, would be a 1 because we're playing in the key of G. Okay? On the very next line, the E7 is a 6. You're exactly right. And then, of course, A7, D7, G is 2, 5, 1. Okay? And those are the main parts. And then the C is a, what is the C? You're right, it's a 4. Okay, so we're going to mark it as a 4. So, if you notice on this line, I said, when we looked at the number chart that I showed you earlier, the tag was the 6. Okay? So the 6 is the E7. Okay? And now the third line, you're going to number these on your own. Okay? So make sure you do that before we start the next song, so that you can see how Hawaiian music works with these progressions. We're going to cover how a tag works in Hawaiian music. So, in the key of G, the tag, which is the number 6, is the E7. So in this song that we're going to learn, I'm going to just demonstrate how it works. And normally, musicians at the end of the song may call a tag. What that means is no matter what key you're going into the 6th chord in that progression, which is in the key of G, the E7. So here's how it works. With a okay, we're gonna cover My Little Grass Shack in Kealakekua, Hawaii. And we're doing it outside here at the Kaunoa Senior Center. So I'm going to play it one time through, and then we're going to end our lesson after that. And I hope you had that you learned a lot today in this lesson. It covers a lot of material in a very short period of time. So here we go. We're going to start with 2 vamps. Grounds of the Lahaina Luna High School campus, a school founded in 1831 and probably the only public boarding school in the nation. We're going to cover Lahaina Luna one more time. song written by Kui Lee. So, but before we start it, I wanted to go over the start. Normally I do a 2-5-1 vamp, which is a A7, D7, and G. And then the second time I do a 2-5-1-5. And I'm sure you know what that means. But here we go. We're gonna practice it. 2, 3, 4. That's a 2-5-1, 2-5-1-5. And that's where I start singing. One more time. Here we go. 2-5-1, 2-5-1-5. I am, and that's where I start. So we're gonna play the song right now. Oh, but before we do that, I want to cover the ending. So the ending, I go to a C minor, G6, and then an open, and then like a G6 position on the first fret, could be an F sharp, and then back to the G6, just like this. Just like that. So here we go with the song, Lahaina Luna. 2 vamps. Aloha, we're here at Kakuloa Valley, overlooking the valley where we have our Kuleana property and our Lo'i Kalo. So we're gonna do the grass shack one more time, and before we do it, I want to just go over the start of the song. So at the start of the song, what I do is I go from a G6 to a F sharp or G6 position on the first fret, like that, A minor, and D7. So I'll do it twice, and that's at the start of the song, just like this. One more time. And at the end of the song, what I do is I go to the tag and then I end the song. So where the swimming by to the tag E7. So at the very end, I go to the C, and then I go to the G6 and open, and then the F sharp on the with a G6 position, and then back to the G6. So like this. One more time. C. So let's play the song. I want to go back to my little grass shack in Kealakekua, Hawaii. Well, actually in Kahakulua, Kauai. So here we go. Oh, wrong vamp. Here we go. One more time. 2, 3, 4. We'd like to wish you a fond aloha, ma'alama pono, take care of yourselves, and a hui ho.
Hila hila o ka halawai, kua hiwi nani o lele, kano e pili amo o na pali, ko velo o ko upuvai. As I gaze upon the mountains of Kahalavai,